The following podcast may contain adult language and an abundance of paranormal ass kicking. So get ready, nerds, because we're talking Guillermo del Toro's Hellboy. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Salty Nerd Podcast. We're talking Hellboy, and I'm joined as always by my fantastic and grumpy Salty Nerd Podcast mates. Matt Vader's here. What's up, dude?
Very grumpy.
You are very grumpy.
Very grumpy all the time. I feel like it's my role to be grumpy around here.
You're the grumpy nerd.
Oh, I'm not that grumpy.
What's up, man?
I'm just tired.
You got a new shirt on.
I do. You got
the
new giant button logo.
It's huge.
Well, I'm huge, so it's extra huge. So, yeah. I don't know.
Looks good.
I kind of like it.
You can get that t-shirts, tank tops, and hoodies. SaltyNerdStore.com.
Yeah.
Jude is also here.
Hello.
What's up?
Nothing.
All right, cool.
I felt like Vader for a second. Why'd you ask me that?
Why are you asking me questions?
That was not one of the questions you said you were going to ask me.
And Matthew Cadish is also here. What's up, man?
Well, I was not a fan of these comic books when they first came out, and I was not a fan of these movies when they first came out, and so I'm kind of not looking forward to talking about them.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So I am the grumpy nerd
Okay.
today because I don't really care about these movies all that much.
Kadish doesn't like good movies.
Whose idea was Hellboy?
I think we were trying to
It
find...
was Vader's.
Probably mine.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like these movies. I mean, they're like popcorn.
I like the first one.
Yeah, at least it's better than the reboot. I'll give it
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Oh, that's hot trash.
We're not even going to talk about it.
Well, eventually we might. All right. As you can tell, it's going to be a very varied conversation between nostalgia and fun and curmudgeon and all that kind of stuff. So stay tuned. We're going to be right back, and we're going to dive straight into the first Hellboy movie.
Code red.
Hey.
Warning. Code red.
They're playing our song.
Welcome back, everybody. Hey, if you guys would like to support what we do, don't forget to go to saltynerdstore.com. We have all kinds of awesome t-shirts there. Now we have hoodies, tank tops, hats, and everything in between. Head over there to saltynerdstore.com and grab your favorite design. The newest one that we have is the retro logo design that I made the other day. I'm very proud of it, and Vader's giving me eyeballs already about it.
Stop talking about it.
I just ordered my own. It's freaking really cool, guys. Anyway, head over there to saltynerdstore.com. Type in salty in the checkout counter to get 10% off and help support us at the podcast. And if you do buy something, please take a photo and send it to us on social media. We'll gladly share it around and show our appreciation for your support. So head over there and grab some merch. All right, let's get into the first Hellboy. Take it away, Jude.
All right, sir. 2004 Hellboy, rated PG-13 with a runtime of 2 hours, 2 minutes. This had a budget of $66 million. What do you think this brought into the box office?
Did they do that on purpose? $66 million for a movie about the occult and demons and shit?
$666,000.
Box office? I don't know. I'm going to say 100,000. 100. What was it? 66 million?
66 million.
Okay, I'm going to say $100 million.
Okay.
V?
$166 million.
Very close. It had a budget of $66 million, and it had a box office of $99 million.
Oh, okay. I was close with 100.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right on.
You win a speedboat.
Sweet. Speedboat with no leg. Awesome.
Great. A little baby demon grows up to become Ron Pearlman and fights monsters for the FBI's Department of Paranormal Research and Defense. Hellboy likes Baby Ruth, kittens, and to sneak out and visit his Hellraiser friend Selma Blair at Bellamy Psychiatric Hospital. What he hates is when the new guy at work tries to date Selma Blair and when Rasputin and his evil cronies come back from the dead to destroy the world again. They've unleashed a hellhound that reproduces like rabbits, and when the team tracks it to Moscow to destroy the hellhound and its eggs, the Rasputin gang snatches Liz and uses Hellboy's love for her to force him to unlock a door that would bring chaos and destruction to the world. Discuss.
This is not the greatest movie ever,
Sure.
but it is a fair and easy watch. I enjoy it almost every time I watch it. It is a bit, I would say, simplistic and one note, especially with the villains.
Comic book movie.
It's a
Apparently, it's pretty true to the comics.
That's great. I'm ignorant of the comics.
Yeah, I've never read the comic
Never
books.
read the comics, but this movie is very enjoyable. But I do think that like it falls into some of the traps that most comic book movies that are now coming out are kind of like getting old and tired because they do. Oh, we have to track the big glowy thing that opens the portal to space, and we have to stop the like. That's a thing that they do over and over again in comic book movies. But because this came out like what, early 2000s, right?
2004.
I don't feel like that's a legit criticism because that wasn't a tired trope at that point. But it's kind of fun and a little bit nostalgic for me. I have a good time with it. Anytime you have over-the-top, crazy Nazi occult people, I'm in.
Also, I love Selma Blair.
Oh my God.
I love her.
I have such a crush on her.
Me too.
Like when I saw this movie growing up, I was like, oh my God, who was that?
Yeah, I love her in everything.
Yeah. She's got like permanent bedroom eyes.
Right?
Like every time doesn't matter what emotion she's showing. Every time she looks at you, I'm like, hey. Me? Are you looking at me? I have a huge crush on her growing up, and she is.
Oh, she's totally your type, too.
Oh, yeah.
What else has she been in?
She made out with Buffy in Cruel Intentions.
Yep.
Yeah. And she's been in a couple other movies that I've seen her
The
in.
Sweetest Thing.
Yeah.
She was actually in a sitcom with my good friend Jeremy Renner. It was one of her first roles, and it was one of his first roles, too.
Nice. So, yeah, she's a huge plus for this movie. I also really enjoy the henchman Nazi guy, the gizmo dude who's got like the heart of a mechanic or whatever. Like that. No, not Rasputin. The henchman.
The blade guy.
The blade guy. The
Yeah,
mechanical man.
Cronin.
Yeah,
Cronin.
yeah.
He's that's a very creative and super cool villain to have. Like he's kind of indestructible. He's dead, but he's not dead. I love him.
That was a Del Toro creation.
Oh, for sure.
Because in the comic books, he was just a straight up Nazi guy.
I like the addition. I like this better. V, what do you think about this movie?
Oh, this is one of those movies that I enjoy watching. I don't watch them a lot, but I do enjoy them when I turn them on. You know, easy on the eyes for a guy like me who is into more of the visual stylings of a movie like this. You know, this is like it's just a fun spectacle movie. You know what I mean? I mean, I like the Rasputin gang. I really wanted more of them in this movie. Every time I watch this movie, it's like, well, I want to know more about what these people do.
Yeah.
I don't really care about the swamp dog, the sewer dog. You know, it's like, there's too much of that.
They did spend a little bit of too much time on that guy.
I want to know about the lady. I want to know more about.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to know more about that romance, too.
Yeah. I want to know more about what's going on.
Oh,
with
like in the beginning when he's like about to go in the portal and die or whatever, he's like,
Yeah.
I give you everlasting life.
She's
And I'm
like,
like,
I will not leave you.
yeah, and I'm like, what has she been doing for the past 70 years? Like, I want to watch that shit. I didn't give a shit about Swamp Dog. I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
I have to give them credit for the marrying of CGI and practical effects with the Swamp Dog, because when they need to use CGI, they do it pretty well and it's sparingly. But then, like during the main fight scenes, it's a dude in a rubber suit, like freaking flying around and stuff like that. So I'll give him credit for that.
Del Toro is a genius when it comes to
Creepy stuff.
his creepy, kooky,
Yeah,
weird stuff.
That's
just it's his signature of just, especially in the next movie.
the next movie is hardcore Del Toro.
Yeah. But I love his spin. I love his take on things like that.
In this one, when you say Del Toro in this movie, I immediately think of that scene where the henchman Nazi guy like stands up under the sheet and the thing comes off his face and it's just like eyeballs and like showing teeth. And I was like, whoa, that dude's super creepy. I love it.
You know, I feel like this movie, I feel like it had a lot of different influences. You know, I never read the comic books, so I don't know. I feel like there was like some Cthulhu, Cthulhu. How do you say that word? Cthulhu kind of influences stuff with the big tentacle things. And the squids.
I got a little feeling of Indiana Jones in this.
There's a little Indiana Jones in here. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a good mix. You know, and I think that's probably why I enjoy these movies.
Yeah,
it's because they're just good visual popcorn, eye candy movies that I just love.
Yeah,
and, you know, that's how I like to roll. So.
Jude, you seem like you're in agreement with us. Is this like a nostalgic movie for you?
I wouldn't say that it's nostalgic, but I think it's enjoyable. This has never been a movie that I'm like, I think I feel like watching Hellboy right now. I like this one. I don't like any of the other ones.
Okay.
But I like the relationships between all of the characters. I really enjoy like seeing the relationship between Hellboy and Liz kind of lead up to where it's going. I like his little jealousy. And I loved him as a baby coming out of the portal and like just leaping. And then like what's his name? The doctor or whatever.
Broom.
Yeah, and like they could have easily just been like kill it with fire. But
like,
then
"No."
they like kind of adopt him and they take pictures. It's cute.
Yeah.
The start of this is very cute. And then like the relationships and Abe and how the team kind of works together. I really like it. I think it works.
Cool. Right on. Kadish, you seem like you're the one out on this one, so go ahead and dump your salt.
So I have a confession to make to all of you guys. I do not like Guillermo del Toro movies.
You've mentioned
generally.
that before, sweetie.
Yeah. I look at him very much the same way I look at Tim Burton, where they're brilliant visualists and they have very creative imaginations, but they're really poor storytellers. And so like, because of that, like, I feel like this movie is visually amazing, but it's also, once you've seen it once, it becomes very boring. And a lot of the problems with this movie's story is the fact that it's based off of the comic book. So back in the 90s, a bunch of comic book artists kind of broke off and started their own company called Image Comics. And Hellboy was the creation of an artist named Mike Mignola. And he has a very unique art style. And the comic books that came out, I used to collect them. And they looked beautiful, but the story didn't really make any sense. And this movie is a collection of 3 different stories from the original comic, kind of melded into one. And the downfall of Image Comics was like, you had beautiful artwork from very talented artists, but these guys, even though they could draw really well, couldn't write a story to save their lives. You saw it with Spawn with Todd McFarlane and Youngblood with Rob Liefeld and all this other stuff. And with Mike Mignola, like, it was cool because he pulled a lot, like Vader clocked it, like he pulled a lot from the Cthulhu mythos and based all of its demonology off of, like, you know, H.P. Lovecraft. And so like the Cthulhu influence was just an excuse to kind of like create these visuals that Mike Mignola made, because I think Hellboy, basically he did like a sketch at a Comic-Con for like the cover of a like program. And, you know, he just sketched Hellboy and he had like no context for it. And he was like, you know what, this looks like a cool character. I think I'm going to run with this. And he created these comics, and the comics just weren't very good, or at least they weren't up to my standards. So when I went to go see the movie, this was like kind of early in Del Toro's career. And so like, I was still kind of like, oh, Del Toro's cool. He made this movie called Mimic. And, even though that movie wasn't very good, but like a lot of people were kind of like hyping him up as like, was like the next big thing. And, so like I went to go see this on, cause the trailer was very good for it. And Ron Pearlman being cast as Hellboy was just inspired. Like, he was born to play this role.
Highlight of the movie.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And so like I went to see this movie and I was just like very underwhelmed by it. And each successive time that I've seen it since then, I get further and further underwhelmed because like I literally fell asleep during the 3rd act of this movie. I don't even remember what happens at the end of the movie. And
That's where they go to the graveyard.
Yeah.
In Russia.
yeah. So like,
Ivan.
yeah. So
We'll get there in a minute. Yeah.
So when it comes to this movie, like, I'm just like, it's okay. Like, I've seen worse movies. It's better than the reboot, and it was very faithful to the comics. And I think Del Toro did a great job of translating the comics to the big screen.
Yeah.
And his additions to Mike Mignola's story made it a better story, because Mike Mignola is not a good writer. But at the same time, like, I just feel like this is a very boring movie. I feel like the main plot gets distracted by too much of the relationship stuff, where Hellboy is just kind of like sitting around with like some random teenager,
Mooning over a girl.
Yeah. Kind of like, you know, just being like, oh, this girl I like's on a date with another guy. I feel like the pacing, it makes the pacing odd in this movie. So I felt like the better relationship was the one with his father, because that was the real tragic relationship in the story. So
I completely agree that the pacing and they take a lot of time with like the swamp dog thing, and then his like relationship and jealousy with Liz. Way too much time is spent on that. The relationship with his father is more interesting, and also the Rasputin crew is way more interesting than the freaking swamp dog. So like when the movie actually finally gets going, like the first half of it, maybe not the first half, but the first like establishing scene during Nazi Germany, a lot of fun, like that scene. The introduction to Ron Pearlman as Hellboy is a lot of fun when they're introducing the new guy. That's good. And then the movie kind of like takes a long break.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
I will say this. So like Doug Jones, who plays Abe Sapien in this movie, you know, he's a long time like Del Toro actor because like he's just really good at the creature effects. He was Saru in Star Trek Discovery. He was also in the Shape of Water, which was Del Toro's last big movie. And he does such a wonderful job in this film. And he was actually, Abe Sapien was voiced by David Hyde Pierce in this movie.
Oh, okay.
But David Hyde Pierce was so impressed with Doug Jones's performance, he refused to take credit for his voiceover work because he was like, this role belongs to Doug Jones. He should be the one who gets sole credit for the character.
Oh, wow.
That's nice of him.
Yeah. But it was kind of funny because the studio wanted to kind of like market off of David Hyde Pierce because he was in Frasier at the time.
I was just going to say, that's Frasier's brother,
Yeah,
right?
that's Frasier's brother. So like they wanted to market off of his celebrity, and he was like, no. And they're like, why did we pay you?
Because you're fools.
Yeah, but Abe Sapien's like one of the standout characters in this, and it's cool to see Doug Jones in like one of his earlier roles.
I agree. Like I said, the movie takes a break for a little while, and it goes off and like deals with relationships and stuff like that, which I do agree can get a little boring at times. I feel like the best parts of this movie are the beginning and then like the middle of the second to the ending of the third act, where like they go to Russia and they go and
The best parts are the action sequences,
yeah.
hands down. You know, and I'm not talking about the.
You're talking about the subway scene?
No,
Okay.
I'm not really into the subway.
I didn't like the
scene.
subway
Me
scene
neither.
either.
I didn't need the Hellhound at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like when they're in the museum. You know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what the first time he killed the hell dog should have been like that would have been it. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, that's a nice
Like,
little side quest.
Seeing him fight monsters, cool.
Yeah.
But I didn't need for that to be the big bad because we already have this crew.
We have Rasputin.
We have this
Yeah.
like undead Rasputin and his cronies and Ilsa.
Yeah, and his undead freaking Nazi
Yeah.
mechanical man.
Yeah.
Like that would have been a way cooler foil.
The mechanical Nazi guy. So like I think I already said this in the comics, he's just a Nazi, and he dies of old age. And in the movie, Del Toro was like, I really like the design of this character, so I'm going to expand his role, and he turned him into like the everlasting like
Dust
cyborg
creature.
zombie.
Yeah, cyborg dust man. That's awesome. So
Yeah,
cool.
he's so old, his blood turned to dust.
Yes.
I wanted less Hellhound but more Ivan.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100% agree. I think my favorite part of this movie might be when they get to Russia and they're like, how are we going to enter this realm? We have no way of getting in. He's like, I know somebody.
I'm gonna go ask for directions.
And he goes down into the freaking thing and he's like, wake the fuck up, asshole. And he's like, ah. And then he starts carrying this dude around.
He's got like voodoo or something.
Oh,
He
yeah.
like whispers
Yeah.
a spell over him.
Yeah.
Doing his demon shit.
Kind of a funny background to this movie is when Del Toro was making the movie Mimic, he was having such a terrible time dealing with like the studio and getting that movie made that on his off hours he'd read Hellboy, the comic book, and he got super into Hellboy when he was directing Mimic because it was like his only escape from like the trials and tribulations of production. And so like he was a super hardcore Hellboy fan and he wanted to make this movie. And so like he was kind of like championing it for like a long time, trying to get some traction at the studios. And he turned down directing the third Harry Potter movie in order to do this movie because he was like so enamored with it. And the studio originally wanted either Vin Diesel or The Rock to play Hellboy.
Okay.
And they wanted it to save money on productions. They wanted Hellboy to look like a normal person, and then like he'd Hellboy out and turn into
like the
Hellboy at a certain point.
No.
And as a way to save money on the budget. And Del Toro came in and he's like, nope, Hellboy's going to be Hellboy the entire time. And I want Ron Pearlman. They're like, Ron Pearlman? He's like, Ron fucking Pearlman.
Yeah.
And so like
Jax Teller's stepdad.
he stood his ground and he basically got everything he wanted for this movie. And he made a very faithful adaptation.
Yeah.
That's cool. So speaking of Ron Perlman, we have to talk about the best part of this entire movie, the one who sells the whole thing. What do you think about Ron Perlman as Hellboy? V?
I find Ron Perlman
Well, okay.
incredibly frustrating.
Why?
Yes,
I hate him in the real world, but I love him in his acting.
Gotta separate the art from the
Gotta
artist sometimes.
separate it because he's a fucking clown in the real world.
a
Is
bit,
he?
a bit, yeah.
Absolute clown.
I don't know anything about his.
Don't
But
bother
it,
with
but
it.
it,
Yeah,
doesn't,
no.
it doesn't matter. But you know, it's one of those things where you have to separate
Yeah.
the real from the fake. I love him in most of his roles that he plays. He is Hellboy.
Yeah.
It's like that was part of this new reboot that I just couldn't get into because it wasn't Ron Perlman playing him. It was the dude from
Stranger Things. What's his name again? I can't remember.
Hopper.
That's not his real name.
He's Hopper in our hearts.
Okay,
But
gotcha.
you know, Ron Perlman as a person is I have the same issue as him as I have with like
most people in
Luke
Hollywood.
Skywalker.
Yeah, Mark Hamill.
You know, but
Yeah.
you know, I for the most part am able to separate. It's hard sometimes. Don't get me wrong, but no.
Just don't follow any of them on social media.
Yeah,
and you'll be
you
fine.
can't. You can't. It's impossible. But no, nobody else can play Hellboy. but Ron
He
Perlman.
does such a good job of
he
embodying
just,
this role.
He just it consumes him.
He's got the sarcasm down. He's got the presence.
Even when I read Hellboy, it's in his voice.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean. And when that happens, nobody else can play that role.
Yeah. for
David
sure.
Harbour. Thank you, Broba.
It's like Indiana Jones
And Harrison
and
Ford.
Harrison Ford. Nobody else is Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. So
What I find interesting about the Hellboy in this movie is like the prosthetics that he wears. Like, it's obviously a prosthetic chest, but it's so blended perfectly with the rest of his body. It's hard to tell. Like, they did a phenomenal job with the practical effects in this. Like, you can't. It's funny because it always reminds me of when I used to think Khan had a practical chest in The Wrath of Khan. I'm like, that can't be real. It's too chiseled. And then I see a movie like this, and I was like, is that real?
Well, it's funny because Ricardo Montalban, who played Khan, like he would do like 50 push-ups a day, like right before they start shooting. Ron Pearlman would work out 3 hours a day while he was doing Hellboy, so that he was in like super top tier shape when he was playing this role.
He looks good. He looks really good, especially because he walks around with his shirt off 90% of the time.
I'm trying to figure out Ron Perlman, man. What has he ever? How many roles is he playing in where he's like doesn't have a shit ton of makeup on? Because he's been Beast. He was awesome in The Quest for Fire.
Right.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yes,
Yeah.
I remember that very well.
He was the best part of that.
What?
Ron Perlman?
You know, it's like, but I mean,
It's just Ron
fucking
Perlman.
Ron Perlman. Being Ron Perlman. You know, he was in the Pacific Rim movies. I love him in those. He was, Beast in Beauty and the Beast television show.
Is that Sarah Connor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and in fact, it was kind of funny because the cast that they made of his face for Beauty and the Beast to do the prosthetics was the same cast that they used for the Hellboy movie.
Whoa.
Because they were just like, we don't need to do it. We already got this here. So like they just used the old Beauty and the Beast cast of his face to do all the Hellboy makeup on.
He's so good in this movie,
He's
though.
just such a cool, iconic actor.
Yeah. He's a very distinguished face.
Yeah,
Like, you
and-
know when you're watching Ron Perlman.
And he just pisses me off to the ends of the fucking.
Don't worry about it.
It's so infuriating.
Well, one of the great stories about this movie is that after it was done, and there was like a time period between this and the sequel, was that there was a Make-A-Wish kid who wanted to meet Hellboy because it was his favorite comic book. And so Ron Perlman got all the makeup, all the costume, and got done up and went to the hospital to do this Make-A-Wish. And
That's awesome.
It was a really, really good thing for him to do.
Yeah.
Because he
I
didn't
love,
get paid for it or anything like that.
I love it when actors do that. Like, Johnny Depp does that a lot as Captain Jack Sparrow. He goes to hospitals all over the place. Full makeup, full costume, legit. Looks like he just walked off the movie set and he goes to
do
these
that too.
places.
I put on my button hat and I go to the hospital.
No, you don't. Don't claim
Hey,
that.
Matt Vader! What's going on, man? Oh, you cute little kids. Have a comic book and some lollipop.
You should do that.
Maybe someday.
Maybe someday when we're famous. No, but like Ron Perlman is definitely the standout, and then his relationship with Liz and Abe, like that dynamic, the three of them together, I could watch them do anything, go on adventures together. The movie's weird, paced weirdly. I'll agree with Kadish on that one, but I have a great time with it. It's like an easy to watch. Like you throw it on, you're like, oh, it's freaking Hellboy. Let's just chill out
My
and watch
memory
it.
of the comic books is kind of bad because like it's been a while since I read them, but I don't think Liz was in the comic books. I feel like the BP D or whatever the name of the government agency is, like Hellboy was just one amongst a number of different like creatures, and he didn't have like a human girlfriend that he had a relationship with.
I feel like you're wrong.
I might be, but I
not sure.
feel like Liz was a creation for the movie as opposed to like being in the comic. I'm probably wrong, but I don't remember her from the comic books.
I'm all for it, man. And what I love about that relationship is like she's basically Charlie from Firestarter. That's
All
her,
grown up.
All grown up. That's her character, and she's having a hard time with it. She's like, I kill people by accident sometimes because I lose control of my power. Like that's literally what Charlie was going through in that movie, and I love the fact that like this relationship, they're on again, off again. She's kind of like in this weird like depression phase, and he's just over the moon about her, and he's the only one that cannot be affected by her power. and it like binds them together.
Is he indestructible?
No, he's not indestructible, but he's immune to fire.
fireproof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because man, he takes some damage
Well, he's
Yeah.
in both of these movies.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like,
Well, he's very tough. Like he can take a lot of punishment.
He's a demon.
right.
Yeah.
I get that. I just,
he's definitely super powered, but he's not indestructible. He can take damage and get hurt, which we see in the next movie. But in this one, I don't think he really runs into anything that can really do any damage to him. I think he's like with that hell dog when he's in that fight scene,
Yeah.
he's playing around. He's like protecting the cats and freaking fighting them with one hand and shit. Like,
They all have their different strengths too, and that's something that I like about this. That he's like the muscle, and Abe is. I love Abe's like psychic power that kind of like moves the story forward because Abe like can touch something and tell you what's going on.
Yeah.
It's really interesting, and like Liz with her firepower.
One of my favorite characters in this movie is Jeffrey Tambor as the put upon PR agent.
oh, he's so funny.
He's doing the Late Show.
Yeah, we are not a part of the government. Yeah, the
tell
whole
me something. Why are all the photos fuzzy all the time?
Yeah, it's so funny. And I love, like, he's a direct antagonist to Hellboy throughout the movie. And then at the end of the movie, they finally kind of become frenemies.
a little,
And he's like trying to light a cigarette. And he's like, no, let me help you. And he lights his thing for him.
He's like, the match makes it taste better.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, that's pretty good. I like it. Yeah. It was a nice moment to kind of end the movie on. So.
One of the funny kind of behind the scenes aspects of this movie is that Selma Blair, you know, she's very kind of like petite girl, you know, like she's very
She's
thin.
thin, yeah.
She's thin. So the studio didn't think her breasts were big enough.
Oh gosh.
And so they mandated that she wear a fake breast, kind of like fake chest type thing.
Fucking Tomb Raider.
Yeah, just kind of like bulk her up a little bit because they were like, this is a comic book movie, like young boys want to see big tits, and so like, and so this entire movie she's wearing a breast augmentation piece underneath her clothes, but Del Toro, just to fuck with them, put her under so many layers of clothes that you couldn't tell how big her tits were.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah.
Nice.
So Del Toro's just like, fuck you, studio.
Yeah, I dig
I'm
it.
like, damn you, Del Toro.
Look, I didn't even. I don't know.
I didn't even notice.
I'm like staring at. I'm like, those eyes, man. Those
Yeah.
eyes get me every time. I didn't look at anything else. I was just like, can you just stare at me like menacingly?
The entire movie, I was telling Jude, I was like, Selma Blair's such a bad actress. I can't watch her.
You are a crazy person.
I mean-
I love her in everything.
I mean, you can love her, but she's not a good actress.
That's not true. That's not true. Remember when she got stuck blowing that guy in The Sweetest Thing? And she had tears streaming down her face? You never seen this?
No.
Oh my God. She's blowing a dude, but he has a piercing, and she goes deep throat on him, and it gets lodged, and she's stuck, and they have to call the fucking fire department.
What fucking movie is that?
The Sweetest Thing. Cameron Diaz.
I'll watch that movie later.
Sounds like a porn.
All right. Jesus Christ. Anyway, so I'm just gonna say my favorite part of this movie. There's one shot in particular, and it's part of the movie that I actually don't like that much. It's the hell dog part, but this one particular scene, the way it was shot, I thought was really freaking cool. Is when the hell dog like drops like a building on Hellboy, and he comes out of the rubble, and he's got all the glass like shards in his back, and he just stands up. And it's just the way it's shot. I'm like, that's so freaking bad. It looks like it's ripped right out of a comic book. I don't know if it actually is or not, but like that scene sticks out in my head all the time. I love the scene with the undead guy on his back, and he's like talking shit. He's like, if I had legs, I'd kick your ass. It's like that whole bit is hilarious. I love all that
I
stuff.
love Ivan.
I want to say that there used to be a really cool action figure,
A Hellboy action
a
figure?
Hellboy action figure that came with the dude.
I would love one of those like statues, the paintable statues that you could have with like Hellboy with Ivan on his back. Like,
And like craft.
yeah, like I would paint that. That would
I'm
be
pretty
cool.
sure. I want somebody in the chat to see if they can find. I can't look for it right now, but I want to see a picture of that action figure.
We'll find it. We'll find
Yeah.
it.
So,
You guys ready to do final thoughts?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm going to start with Jude just to shake things up.
All right.
Give it final thoughts. Give it a rating, Jude.
God, I didn't even think about what I would rate this. I think it's fun for a comic book movie, which I don't generally like comic book movies. This is a good movie. This is fun. This is like 3.5 Hellhounds out of 5.
Okay. All right. That's fair.
stronger than I thought.
I love Ivan, and I love Selma Blair. I will watch her in anything.
Yeah.
Oh, and she's doing Dancing with the Stars now too, and she has MS really bad, and she's doing so good on Dancing with the Stars.
She's sick?
Yeah.
Oh, that makes me so sad.
Yeah.
Dancing with the Stars,
Man. Okay.
where people go to die. Terrible show.
You hate that show?
People shouldn't watch that shit.
Shaq did that show.
It's just Those kind of shows are the downfall of modern society. I'm sorry.
No,
There's your
no.
there's your action
That's
figure.
pretty close.
The downfall of modern society is that Masked Singer show
Yes.
where they come out in like
Same
freaking
shit.
fuzzy
It's
outfits.
the same shit.
Oh God. Anyway, let's rate this. Go ahead, V.
I'm gonna give this a rating of 3 stars.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
good.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with this movie. It's very rewatchable. I enjoy it. I love the characters. You know, there's a lot of cool, interesting things that go on here. It's very Guillermo, but not as much as the second one.
The second one's very Guillermo.
Yeah, and
There's a reason for that.
Yeah, and it's just a cool movie. It's
Yeah.
a cool comic book movie of one of the cooler, more grown up comic books out there. I think that's why I like it, because it's not a little kid movie. It's not really made for.
It's a bit scary for
I
kids.
wouldn't probably have my 8-year-old watch this.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But maybe my 12-year-old or my 11 would be
Maybe.
okay. So yeah, three stars.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Kadish?
So it's funny that you say that this isn't a kids movie because they took great efforts to get a PG-13 rating by scaling back on the blood and the gore.
Yeah.
And also, one of the reasons this movie didn't do all that well was because of the title. Basically, it's hard to market a movie with the word hell in the title because there are a lot of foreign kind of like countries that don't allow that word to be used in public and stuff like that. And so basically, like, it was kind of made to appeal to a broad audience, but the name of the movie just limited it to begin with.
Hades Man.
Yeah. So I'm not a fan of Del Toro's. I'm not a fan of the original comic book, but I feel like this was a very faithful adaptation. Ron Pearlman was born to play this role. Doug Jones was fantastic in it. So this movie has its good and its bads. Overall, I feel like the movie suffers because it's boring, at least to me. So I'm just going to give it a straight up 2 Baby Ruths out of 5.
Okay. For me, this is a rewatchable movie. If it's on, I'm not mad that it's on. I enjoyed it enough. I do think it stalls out about halfway through, and then it struggles to pick back up, and by the end, it now falls into the tired trope of like the giant laser beam in space or whatever, and we have to stop it. Like, that's so overdone lately in comic book movies that, like, rewatching it now, I'm just like, oh man,
Like Howard the Duck.
like this again? Like, come on. But I'm gonna give it a solid 3. It's fun, rewatchable. I like the bad guys. Anytime you have over the top Nazis, just go for it.
It really makes your movie.
It's like Indiana Jones, Hellboy, any over the top Nazi villains. Like, just go for it, man. You can do anything to them, and you don't feel bad. You
Right.
freaking stab them, kill them, burn them. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They're crazy Nazis. Kill them all.
Poke their eyeballs out.
Yeah.
Eat them.
Yeah. Highlight is definitely the crazy mechanical man. Like that.
Yeah.
That's a traumatic scene when that dude pops up out of the medical bay. And he's like, freaking scares
If
the
they
shit out of me.
developed these villains a little bit more, I would have given it.
Yeah, I think they
star.
should have leaned real hard on the Rasputin crew for sure, and like left the Hell Dog out for just like maybe a little side quest or something. But yeah, that's it. All right, guys, that's it for the first, I guess, original. I don't know if you can call it original, but the first Hellboy movie from Guillermo del Toro. Comment below what you thought of this movie. Is it rewatchable for you? Is it better than the first, second, and the third one? Let us know. V, where can they find you on the socials?
They can find me at collectors.com buying this action figure.
It's a pretty dope action figure.
Did you
dude.
find it?
I did. They did.
Oh, they do have one with
found it.
Ivan.
Yeah, it's $100. Jesus,
Oh, that's not bad.
Jeez.
I want it for my studio.
I dig it.
Oh, look at him. He's cute.
You can find me at Matt Vader 74 on the Twitter and the YouTube and most of the other social medias. I'm not as active on most of them right now, but that's going to change. Twitter mostly, and also you can find me working the official Salty Nerd Twitter at salty_nerd.
All right.
So there you go.
Right on. Jude, take it away.
You can find me at I am Jude Juju on Instagram and on TikTok. And listen, if you slide into my DMs and you talk about the show, I will 100% have a conversation with you.
Oh, I thought that was
I
going
love
somewhere else.
that. I love talking to fans of the show. But if you slide into my DMs and just go, hey, you're blocked. Sorry. It's fucking weird and creepy. Don't do that.
What, you didn't block me when I sent you those dick pics?
I asked for those.
On that note, Matthew Gadish.
You can send all your hate mail to my DMs at Matthew Kadish, Kadish on Twitter and Truth Social. KadishBooks.com takes you to our Amazon page, and join our Facebook group at saltynerdgroup.com.
All right, guys, if you want to find me, I am primarily on our Instagram. You can find us at Salty Nerd Podcast on Instagram, or our Discord app, saltynerddiscord.com will take you there. Join up. We have a great community, ever growing. We're pushing 300 members now of the Discord app, so head over there, join us. We have a lot of fun, and we have a lot of things going on. And you guys get notifications, very timely notifications on new videos, live streams, different things that we're doing. So if you want to keep up with everything that we're putting out on the content on YouTube, head over to Discord, and you will be on top of everything that we're doing. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for watching the video. Stay salty.